All right, it says I'm live. So, welcome. Good morning. Let me check if this is working. I think it is. It appears to be. Good. Welcome. We're going to read through 2nd Esdras chapter 13. But before I read, I just want to explain a few things that I think are important. And I know maybe, thanks Tony, I know maybe that this is something that's obvious that I'm going to say, but I still want to say it because when I think about this kind of thing, it might put me in the right frame of mind in order to understand better maybe what we're reading about. A vision. Now, maybe our 2021 or whatever our current world's idea of what a vision would be might be different than the vision that we're going to read. This one, just like many of the visions that I end up talking about on my channel, none of them are mine. That's one important thing. These are visions that prophets of God were given and shown for specific purposes usually. Well, not usually, always. But I just want us to be reminded that when we're reading this, there's a very important reason why God would show Ezra, in this case, something so almost strange and tell him to write it down. And if you look at the thumbnail for this video, I think you'll see what I'm talking about. The same thing with the book of Revelation, that there was a signified angel sent to John to show him a vision of what must happen after the vision, and which is basically predicting the future or telling the future. And it's not something to even interpret, I don't think. I look at it as more of a testimony. It's someone just telling us, well, here's what I saw in my vision. Like, let's just be real people and understand that we know how to communicate things to other people. And so when they're saying that they see these things in the vision, they're just explaining to us what they're being shown. And I think it's very simple. And I think there's also, it's not just only an explanation like that. They're also revealing information from angels that are telling or showing them these things, or so there's deep things that I'm sure nobody understands in a lot of these things, but they're there for a reason. So, and it's a big reason. It really is. We're actually going to look at a couple versions of this as we go through this, because I'm not just going to read it. I think we'll read a little bit and talk about it, because I think Ezra saw a vision of the world we live in today and something that's happening in the world we live in today, and the troubling parts of that thing that is possibly happening. And when I say is possibly happening, I'm saying that to be polite. These things are happening, and it's not something we have to really interpret. I mean, parts of it would be, but some of the things are happening. I guess that's the best way to put it. So let's just start with this right here. So this is Ezra. He was told in the previous chapter at the end. We'll just kind of get a little idea of where we're at here, or what the story is. Is this the right? Let's see. Okay, so yeah, he was told to go sit in a field for a week. And so the last verse says, "But I sat in the field for 7 days as he commanded me, and I ate only the flowers that grew in the field, and plants were my food in those days." So he was out in the field for 7 days. So that's where this chapter picks up. All right. After 7 days, I had a dream during the night. I looked and saw a wind rising from the sea and stirring up all its waves. As I watched, this wind made something like the figure of a man come up out of the heart of the sea. That man was flying among the clouds of heaven. Okay, I just want to stop there. Let's look at this other. This is what is this version? I'm not sure, but it's on Sacred Texts. It's the same. Oops, that's not the right chapter. It's the same chapter, but it is worded a little differently. "And it came to pass after 7 days, I dreamed a dream by night. And lo, there arose a wind from the sea, that it moved all the waves thereof. And I beheld, and lo, that man waxed strong." It looks like it almost skipped a part right here. "But that man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven. And when he turned his countenance to look, all the things trembled that were seen under him." That was actually, I think it skips a verse in this version, because, or maybe it skips the beginning of that verse, where he saw the figure of the man come up out of the sea. But it says, that man was, this other version, that man was flying among the clouds of heaven. Wherever he turned his face to look, everything that fell under his gaze trembled. Wherever an utterance came from his mouth, all who heard his voice melted as wax melts when it feels the fire. So he's seeing a vision of something, and there's a few things revealed here that are interesting to me. It says, "I looked and saw a wind rising from the sea, stirring up all its waves." So I'll go to, like, my previous understanding of all these things would have been that, like, I would have been picturing an ocean, like the Pacific Ocean or something. It says, "As I watched, this wind made something like the figure of a man come up out of the heart of the sea." So out of the heart of the sea, I'd still be thinking about, like, a man coming up from the ocean, rising up from the ocean. Like, that's what it makes me think of. But there's something revealed here that if we ignore it, we're really going to miss out on something important. That man was flying among the clouds of heaven. So he didn't come from the sea on the earth. He came from the sea that's above the earth. Because remember, in Genesis, there was waters above. And I think that's so important that we understand. We don't have to understand anything about those waters, but there's a reason why the Bible says that there's waters above. And there's actually a lot of reasons, because that's kind of what I've been learning about. So we'll keep reading here. So he saw this man flying among the clouds of heaven. And let me just tell you where my mind goes. In Revelation 1, right at the beginning, it says, "Behold, he cometh with clouds, and every eye shall see him, and they also which pierced him, and all kindreds of the earth shall wail because of him. Even so, amen." I'm thinking that that's exactly what this what he's seeing a vision of. And that's why, what did I name this? Yeah, he saw the return of Jesus in a vision. So I like this part here. He uttered his voice. It says, wherever an utterance came out from his mouth, all who heard his voice melted as wax melts when it feels the fire. So he was saying something. And the people who heard him, well, melted like wax when it feels the fire. I don't really know how to describe that, but I can kind of get an idea. Verse 5, I kept watching these things, and an innumerable multitude of people came together from the four winds of heaven. They came together from the four winds of heaven. The four winds of heaven. To fight against the man who had come up out of the sea, from the sea. So a huge multitude of people gathered up together against this would be Jesus. And it said he was uttering his voice, he was speaking out of his mouth. And we'll see here that some people heard and some people didn't. Okay, so verse 6, I watched as he carved out a great mountain for himself and flew onto it. I tried to see the region or place from which the mountain was carved, but I couldn't. So he was flying and he carved a mountain out and he flew onto it. This is Ezra explaining what he's seeing, that's all. Ezra's just saying, he carved out a mountain. I tried to see where it was, I couldn't. But he carved out a mountain and he flew up onto it. Now, that's different, huh? Okay. After this I looked and I saw that all who had gathered to do battle against him were sorely afraid. Yet they dared to fight. This is a pretty interesting story so far. When he saw the rush of the multitude coming, the one that was gathered against him, when he saw the rush of the multitude coming, he didn't raise his hand or hold a spear or any weapon of war. Rather, I saw something like a wave of fire shoot forth from his mouth, and a breath of flame from his lips, and a storm of sparks from his tongue. All these things, the wave of fire, the breath of flame, and the mighty storm, mixed together, and fell upon the crowd that was rushing forward, prepared to fight. It burned them all up, so that suddenly nothing was seen of the innumerable mob except the dust of ashes and the smell of smoke. I saw this and was amazed. After these things, I saw the same man coming down from the mountain and calling to himself another crowd. I just realized something, guys. A peaceful one. I just realized something we're going to be looking at a lot in the book of Revelation. But I want to just kind of stick to this more till he starts getting the interpretation, which is pretty much almost now. Verse 13 says, many people came to him. Some were rejoicing and some were sad. Some were even tied up, while some were bringing other people as an offering. So there was people going up to him. And then Ezra says, I woke up in great fear and pleaded with the Most High. I said, from the beginning you showed your servant these wonders, and you considered me worthy that you should receive my prayer. Now show me also the interpretation of this dream. As I turn it over in my mind, I think how terrible it will be for those who will be left in those days, and how much worse for those who aren't left. Those who aren't left will be full of sorrow, since they know what lies in store for the last days, but they won't live to see them. But how terrible it will be also for those who are left. For that very reason, they will see great dangers, and there will be many kinds of distress, as these dreams show. Yet it is better to encounter these things, even incurring danger, than to pass from the world like a cloud and not see what happens at the end. So I just got to tell you, these verses, what Ezra says here, from 16 to 20 or whatever, I do not understand what he is saying there. I can't quite understand what he's trying to say there. But then, verse 21, he answered me, I will tell you the interpretation of the dream as well, and I will explain to you the things you spoke about. As to what you said about those who are left, this is the interpretation. So this is the part I don't understand. This is the interpretation. He who brings the danger at that time will himself guard those who fall into danger, who have works and faith in the most mighty one. Know therefore that those who are left enjoy greater privilege than those who have died. I don't understand that, guys. The interpretations of the vision are as follows. Okay. We're going to go over this interpretation. Or part of it anyway. In that you saw something like a wind and fire and storm go out of his mouth. Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped a little bit. Okay, in that you saw a man going up from the heart of the sea. That is the one whom the Most High has been keeping for many ages. He will liberate God's creation all by himself, and he will put in order those who are left. In that you saw something like wind and fire and storm go out of his mouth, and that he didn't hold a spear or weapon of war, yet destroyed the rush of that multitude that had come to fight him. Here's the interpretation. Look, the days are coming when the Most High will begin to rescue those who are on the earth. Those who live on the earth will go out of their minds. They will plan to wage war against each other, city against city, place against place, nation against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. When these things happen, and the signs that I showed you before take place, then my Son will be revealed. I'm going to read that verse again. I kind of screwed it up. When these things happen, and the signs that I showed you before take place, then my Son will be revealed, whom you saw as a man rising up. When all the nations hear his voice, this is important right here. Hear his voice. Then each one will leave its own region and will leave off the wars they were waging against each other. An innumerable mob will be gathered together, as you saw, wanting to come and fight against him. This is where it gets really good, guys. But he will take his stand on the summit of Mount Zion. Zion will come and will appear to all. Zion will come and will appear to all. Built and ready, as you saw a mountain carved without hands. So that mountain he carved it out without hands. That's pretty cool. Without hands, he carved it out. Verse 37, my Son himself will indict the assembled nations for their impious deeds. These things were indicated by the storm. He will scold them for their evil plans and reveal the torments with which they are about to be tortured. These things correspond to the flame. He will destroy them without effort by the law, which was indicated by the fire. So, now we're going to read about that other group that gathered and went to him. As to the fact that you saw him collecting to himself another peaceable multitude, these are the 10 tribes that were taken captive from their land in the days of King Hoshea, whom King Shalmaneser of the Assyrians took across the river as a captive. They were taken into another land. They were taken into another land. they made this plan for themselves. They would leave the multitude of the nations and go into a more remote region where the human race had never lived. Okay, let me see if I might just... I want to look at some interesting things in... oh, okay. There's more here. I'm going to keep going here, I guess. Okay. There they would be able to observe their customs, which they hadn't kept in their own region. They went in through the narrow passages of the Euphrates River. Then the Most High gave them signs and stopped the flow of the river until they had passed. They made a long journey through that region for 1.5 years, and that region is called Arzareth. They lived there until the last time, and now they begin again to return. The Most High will once again stop the flow of the river so that they can cross. These people make up the multitude gathered in peace, along with those who are left of your people, who are found within my holy boundaries. Then when he begins to destroy the multitude of the nations that are gathered, he will protect the people who have survived. Then he will show them many more signs. I said, Supreme Lord, show me why I saw a man rising up from the heart of the sea. He said to me, this is crazy, guys. This will get us into probably some interesting mental places. Some of these things I like. Sorry, I'm having a hard time describing it. When I read these, they show my mind a place it's never went to. Sorry guys. Let's see here. The things we're learning about have been like secrets waiting to burst forth for all of time. And when we hear or whatever, when we comprehend that, wow. If someone had to believe in something, there's very convincing ways that God can make you believe, I guess. He can reveal things that it seems almost impossible that they would be something to comprehend even. That they're something... My mind goes places it's never gone. And I know that's the Holy Spirit. So, we'll keep reading here. We're going to learn about something about the heart of the sea. It's pretty interesting too. Just think, if you follow my channel at all, just think of one of the subjects that's kind of consumed my thoughts in the last probably 2 years or whatever. It's not like a fun topic, but talking about darkness or hell or emptiness or blackness, a void, an empty space, a wilderness, a desert, a waste and horrible place. Talking about space. It's not what they think it is. It's just not. It's so awful what people are believing. Darkness is a real thing. And light is a real thing. Okay. I said, Supreme Lord, show me why I saw a man rising up from the heart of the sea. He said to me, just as no one can seek out or know what is in the depth of the sea, no one on earth can see my Son or those who are with him, except in that time when his day has come. His day has come, you guys. Because he's revealing these things to us. He's been talking about the depth of the sea. He's been talking about outer darkness. At least to me he has been. And what I mean when I say that is the words that you can read in the Gospels of him walking around on the earth, those words are being uttered today. And it's actually weird to even realize it. It's weird to realize that these things are happening right now, because I know how many people think that that's ridiculous. These things aren't happening now. I hear that all the time. That's not what that means. I don't agree with your interpretation. Just as no one can seek out or know what is in the depth of the sea. What does NASA do? They're trying to seek out what is in the depths of the sea. That's what NASA does. They go to space. Because remember, the sea that he came out of was not on the earth. It was up where the clouds of heaven were. And that's where Jesus was flying with the clouds of heaven. He says, no one on earth can see my Son or those who are with him, except in that time when his day has come. This is the interpretation of the dream that you saw, which has enlightened you alone of all people. You have abandoned your own affairs and occupied yourself with mine, and you have sought out my law. You have given your life to wisdom and have called your understanding your mother. Because of this I have shown you these things, for you have a reward with the Most High. After 3 days I will tell you more and explain to you weighty and wonderful things. So then he went out from there into a large field, glorifying and praising the Most High for the wonders he performed over time, and because he governs the times and all that comes about in its time. I stayed there for 3 days. So we're going to go back up here and look at a couple interesting things. So that's the heart of the sea. It says that man was flying among the clouds of heaven. That reminds me of, let's see, let's just go to Revelation first. Okay. So he was flying with the clouds of heaven, and he was uttering his voice. But let's see, there's a innumerable multitude came together from the four winds of heaven to fight against the man who had come up from the sea. So this part is interesting. I watched as he carved a great mountain for himself and flew onto it. Look at this. Oops, wrong way. Okay, right here. John in Revelation, this is a different vision. This is John was given a vision about 2,000 years ago from Jesus, or from an angel, but sent by Jesus. And Jesus showed up in the vision. So John wrote it down. Jesus even told him to write it down. And this is chapter 14. And I looked, and lo, a lamb stood on the Mount Zion. I think we all know who that is. Where's this Mount Zion? I watched as he carved a great mountain for himself and flew onto it. Tried to see the region or place from which the mountain was carved, but couldn't. But I couldn't. Okay, look what it says after this in Revelation. And I looked, and lo, a lamb stood on the Mount Sion, and with him 144,000, having his father's name written in their foreheads. So he had people with him, or he had something with him, I'll say. With him 144,000. Okay, let's look at this. Okay, till we have sealed the servants of our God in their foreheads. And I heard the number of them which were sealed, and there were sealed 144,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel. And then it names all these tribes. But then right after that, and this is another part of John's vision. After this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude, which no man could number, of all nations and kindreds and peoples and tongues. This is kind of important right here. Of all nations and kindreds and peoples and tongues, stood before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed in white robes, and palms in their hands. Okay, I better try to get to the point here that I'm trying to make. Or I'm not trying to make it. I'm just learning something here. There's people in the world today that are somehow, they're part of these tribes. They've been sealed in their foreheads. Or they are being sealed in their foreheads. Look what else is happening during that time. And after these things I saw 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. And I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living God. And he cried with a loud voice to the 4 angels to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea, saying, hurt not the earth, neither the sea nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of our God in their foreheads. So there's these angels holding back these winds from hurting the earth until they're sealed in their foreheads. So, let's go back here again. Look at this. I looked and saw a wind rising from the sea and stirring up all its waves. As I watched, this wind made something like the figure of a man come up out of the heart of the sea. I don't know why this just came to mind, but I'm sure a lot of you guys know Vincent Rhodes. And he was telling about one time, I think he said he was in like the sanctuary of the church, and I think he said he was praying with, let's see here. He was praying with someone from the church or whatever. Let me think here. Yeah, what he said was he heard when they were praying, he was hearing this wind going around. He could hear this whirlwind going around in the room. And he's like, man, the Holy Spirit, was on him while he was praying. And then he went outside or whatever after they were done, and the other person he was praying with was like, all right, see you later, or something like that. And the guy went back walking up to Vincent, and he said something about he heard the wind, some loud wind was really like while they were praying, it was like windy in there or something, and I think I've heard that whirlwind one time, and it was a strange experience. I don't know why, but it was one time I was laying in my bed and I was not sleeping. I was laying on my back, and all of a sudden it was dark. I had my eyes closed, and all of a sudden I heard this wind, and I felt this wind going through my body, and it lifted me up out of my bed. And I think, and it started making me go up towards the ceiling, and I remember looking, going, I'm gonna hit the ceiling or go through it, and then right then, when I was just about to hit my head on the ceiling, then that wind came again, and it like rushed and blew through my body and set me down in my body, and it was weird. But I think I know that whirlwind. But anyway, so in our world today, there is, let's see here. I'm just trying to explain this, why I think this is such an amazing thing. What this tells me is that something that you might see me say on YouTube or in chats, that Jesus is flying with the clouds of heaven. That's why I say that. And it's because for the last 5 years, he has been uttering his voice, and it's not me that says this, that it's something that I know that you don't know about him uttering his voice. The world knows it. Everyone knows it. The world is aware of it. They dared to fight. They're afraid. They're sorely afraid, but they dared to fight. What subject just happened to become a popular subject? Which, by the way, I can't believe this. My video editor, I had a good video that I was almost done with. It's one of those ones. It's like made up of clips. It's one that usually people would like, and it's gone. But I'm gonna remake it. I don't know what happened. Actually, I'll play you just a few seconds of it. You guys are gonna laugh. This is just one or two little clips out of probably 100. Okay.
Globe heads.
NASA and I think I'll pass up.
There's a lot of stuff like that. A lot of stuff like that. I like I like David Carrico.
Globe heads.
Globe heads. I just thought that was funny. I caught a few things like that. I saw Eddie Bravo. Whoops. What did I do? Oh, I saw Eddie Bravo say, "Some people know I'm a flat earther," and just clips like that. It was. I think it was a lot of them, and that's why my program screwed it up. The weirdest thing is if you're working with the program, and if you right click to try to paste something, bye video. And I've done it more than once, and it's like thinking I'm working like normal, and then when you get, and I don't know if it's when you get so many clips together that it gets confused or whatever, but definitely was pretty good. There's a lot of good stuff in it. I'm trying to think of some of the ones. Oh, Neil deGrasse Tyson's in it. There's too many people in it for me to start naming them off. There's a lot of people in it. Talking about Flat Earth. Wretched. Yeah, I could keep going, but this subject Oh, I really wish that that video didn't get destroyed. You know what? Let me show you something. Let's try something. I'm gonna try. I saved it, but I think it. Okay, watch. This is the one. See all these clips? This is. Notice it's only 11 seconds long. This is, and it's supposed to be way longer than that. There. All those clips. Think if it played right now, that would be nice, but see, something's wrong with it's written wrong, because when I try to, like, click on one of these, it doesn't work. So let's see what we got.
Globe heads.
NASA, and now I think I'll pass up.
You know, we're a little wacky, but don't believe the Earth is a spinning globe. We need to think a little bit.
And that's all I got, you guys. It won't play any further. Oh, maybe it will. No, see, it ends, like, it's working, and then I can't click on any of these. Oh, that's frustrating. But at least I have these for a reminder of what to... Let's see, we got the AI, we got Sophia saying, we checked, it's flat. Asmongold doing a flat earth survey. Simon Dan. This one's the Pastor Steven Anderson. Some of these are short little clips. There's a music video right towards the end. And actually this is missing a bunch of clips. Anyway, that was disappointing because I was actually going to play that video or put that on YouTube today, but so I'll have to do it, redo it. Let's see here. So that subject of flat earth is, you know, most people think, oh, that's stupid, or whatever. Is that what you say when you hear his voice? Because some of us are telling you that these things that we've learned them from the Word of God. We've learned them from the Holy Spirit. And He teaches us out of the Scriptures that the prophets wrote. And it's over and over and over again, things that are happening in our world are happening in these visions. So, when Jesus returns, He flies with the clouds of heaven and says something. And not everybody hears His voice. So it's a hard thing to accept. I'm not saying that it changes like what we try to do or whatever, sharing the truth. But just to kind of think of the reality of the situation, He's been teaching many of us about how He made this world. And quite a few of the intricate details of how He made this world, like the very specific details. Let's see here. And then He even sent, in these visions, He even told people, or showed people in these visions, that there would be something to believe in at that time. There would be something that the world was wrong about at that time. The whole world. There was something that they believed that wasn't at all true. And He's saying it right today. He says it every day. what is it, John? Let's go look at John 8. Because he said we would know all these things. He already told them to us. Then said Jesus to those Jews which believed on him, If ye continue in my word, then are ye my disciples indeed, and ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Oh, another verse that I was going to read it in the live stream, that Jesus Free Computer Geek is in the chat. And Tom Morgan and I did not long ago. It was 1 John 2. It was 24 through 27. I looked it up and then we ran out of time. So I'm going to read that right now, because it kind of speaks about this a little bit. Let that therefore abide in you, which ye have heard from the beginning. If that which ye have heard from the beginning shall remain in you, ye also shall continue in the Son and in the Father. And this is the promise he hath promised us, even eternal life. These things have I written unto you concerning them that seduce you. But the anointing which ye have received of him abideth in you, and ye need not that any man teach you. But as the same anointing teacheth you of all things, and is truth, and is no lie, and even as it hath taught you, ye shall abide in him. Now let's do something interesting. Let's look at verse 26 a little deeper. Because, remember it said, concerning them that seduce you. These things I have written to you concerning them that seduce you. This says, I've written to you concerning those leading astray you. Look at this word, leading astray. Planeo. Definition, to cause to wander. To wander. Usage, I lead astray. Deceive, cause to wander. The KJV said seduce, that seduce you. Look at this, 4105, planeo, properly, go astray, get off course, to deviate from the correct path. Circuit course, roaming into error, wandering, be misled. 4105, planeo is the root of the English term planet, wandering body. This term nearly always conveys the sin of roaming. Planets. Just that word has a very negative part to it. Planets. Why did they name them planets? Well, because they're wandering bodies. Roaming into error. That's because they're in a prison. Okay. Where was I going to go here? Oh, Mount Zion. So, Mount Zion, it isn't built with hands. It was carved out without hands. That's what it said in the interpretation here, didn't it? So I want to talk about this place, Mount Zion, this mountain. Let's see here. Where is this? Oh, here it is. Okay, so this is still Ezra's vision of that man flying with the clouds of heaven, and those people gathering against him, and him shooting all the sparks out of his mouth and stuff, and destroying them. Look what it says. But he will take his stand on the summit of Mount Zion, Zion will come and will appear to all, built and ready, as you saw a mountain carved without hands. Remember Revelation 14. He saw a lamb stood on Mount Zion, and with him 144,000. Those were the ones that had the seal of the living God in their foreheads. And I can see that happening today. In Jude and in the book of Enoch, it says, he cometh with 10,000 of his holy ones, or his saints, to execute judgment. Look at all these things that it says. He will scold them for their evil plans and reveal the torments with which they are about to be tortured. These things correspond to the flame. He will destroy them without effort by the law, which is indicated by the fire. You know how people often talk about obeying the commandments, and not what is a really popular verse where when people are trying to say to follow the commandments is not one jot or tittle. You guys know that verse? Well, the law isn't fulfilled yet, right? Because the law is the law and the prophets. It's the scriptures. What we just read, that Ezra was shown, this vision, that's part of the law and the prophets. And I believe it's being fulfilled. But, so, he will destroy them without effort by the law. These scriptures that we have are worth so much. So much. So Mount Zion. There's a couple other verses here. Oops. Let's just go in this, I guess, to chapter 7. Same book, but a different part. So, verse 26. Look, the time is coming when the signs appear that I told you about in advance, and the city will appear, appearing as a bride. Now listen to this verse. And the land that is now hidden will be openly displayed. What land was hidden? The promised land, right? Well, that will appear, and it will not be hidden, and will be openly displayed. Yeah, that's the verse, Jesus freak. For assuredly I say to you, till heaven and earth pass away, not one jot or one tittle will by no means pass from the law, till all is fulfilled. Thank you, grateful and humbled. And what that's saying to me, when that's saying that all the words that he spoke, all the things that he said are the truth. There's sent, or they're said, and they come to pass. They don't return void. What he says happens. Let there be light, and there was light. It's words. Our words aren't like that. We don't say words like that, but you know what I mean. I don't even think we can really comprehend what that power is. To just, when you say something, as you say it, it exists, or whatever. I don't understand that really, but that's how it is. The Word of God. One other thing. 2 Baruch, chapter 51, verse 8. For they shall behold the world which is now invisible to them. and they shall behold the time which is now hidden from them. One other thing. We're going to go back to chapter 13. In the interpretation, let's see. He kind of says the same thing. Look, the days are coming when the Most High will begin to rescue those who are on the earth. Okay, right here. Verse 32. When these things happen, and the signs that I showed you before take place, which they are, guys. Those signs are taking place all over the place. All over the place. Then my Son will be revealed, whom you saw as a man rising up. When all the nations hear his voice, then each one will leave its own region. So there's all of a sudden something happens. And there's a group of people gathered against something, whatever he's saying. They're gathered against it. And they're afraid. But they're going to fight anyway. And whatever he's uttering out of his voice, it must be pretty important if it's going to cause the whole world to turn away from their battles against each other and go together to fight him. When all the nations hear his voice, then each one will leave its own region and will leave off the wars they are waging against each other. An innumerable mob will be gathered together, as you saw, wanting to come and fight against him. That's interesting. Flat Earth shook this world up in this same kind of way. Let me show you something else in Revelation 3. You want to hear his voice. Verse 20 in Revelation 3. He says, Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him and will sup with him, and he with me. If you want to overcome the things, if you want to overcome this world and the things in it, here's your ticket right here. Listen for his voice. He's uttering his voice, and you can hear it. That's the only reason why I want to do videos about this stuff. I want you to hear his voice. Even if you don't, if you think this stuff is stupid, I want you to first of all, realize that a lot of us don't consider it to be stupid. We can see something of great value that if you're considering it to be stupid, you still haven't grasped that value yet. And you haven't heard his voice maybe. But if you look at the world in the last 5 or 6 years, there's been great changes made to certain people, and they see a different world. They see a world that was invisible to them before. How did this work? Or that was a different chapter. The second Baruch says that, for they shall behold the world which is now invisible to them. And second Esdras was, the land that is now hidden will be openly displayed. So, Flat Earth ain't stupid. Here's some more. I made a video yesterday and I titled it, The Globers Are Doomed. I just can't believe how how quiet this is happening. What I mean is, even the people that believe the truth usually just are in opposition to what I'm saying. When I say flat earth came into this world not to be a debate, it's more last chance to come out of this stuff that we were born into. Because what we were born into, God turned his face away from. Let me see here. Enoch 45. So he's going to transform the earth. What would it mean to transform the earth, I wonder? What would it mean to transform the earth or the heaven? Let's see. Look at this. I think we're just reading about this stuff in 2nd Esdras. Verse 4 here. Then will I cause mine elect one to dwell among them, and I will transform the heaven and make it an eternal blessing and light. And I will transform the earth and make it a blessing. And I will cause mine elect ones to dwell upon it. But the sinners and evildoers shall not set foot thereon. So he's going to transform the earth and cause his elect ones to dwell on that transformed earth. Is that what that's saying? It is. But he says, but the sinners and evildoers shall not set foot thereon. You know what? I have to say what I believe that evil doing and sinning that it's talking about is. We were born into it. We were born into being evildoers. We were taught to be evildoers as a society norm. And it all has to do with concerning those who seduce you. The planets. Jude was talking about the same sea, the waters above. He said, raging waves of the sea, foaming out their own shame, wandering stars, to whom is reserved the blackness of darkness forever. I got to talk with David Beverly yesterday. That was awesome. Phone call. It's kind of weird how he was just telling me about basically what people say about him or whatever, what people say about other people, and somehow it can seem so spot on to some and so far off to others. It's interesting. Talking about whatever subject can be, people can come up with such a different idea. And yeah. And a lot of times they have to skip or they have to ignore certain things in order to believe what they're sure of. You know what I mean? So let's see here. I'm going to do something. Basically, the point I really want to make is that I've realized that we've been doing something kind of really wrong. Now, and I don't mean us, like it's our fault for doing this. I'm saying the reason why Jesus is uttering his voice, flying on the clouds, the reason why this topic is even here, why people are even talking about it, is because he's teaching us about it. Otherwise, probably no one would really even know it. And this is actually where it gets into something that I see way differently than other people. There's not anybody lying to you about the shape of the earth. Hiding the shape of the earth. There's no people on the earth that have some great knowledge that you aren't privy to, and they're hiding something from you. That's not reality. The whole world believes a lie, and then Jesus uttered his voice with truth, telling us something that changes people's lives. It changes everything about a person when they realize what the truth is. And I'm talking about creation, biblical cosmology. That truth. And I don't really like when people say, is it a salvation issue? These kinds of things. That's not up to us, is it? A salvation issue? That's just a ridiculous phrase. We don't decide those things. And you know what? To be honest, only the people in the very end will know what salvation is. We don't even know what it is. That's all something that maybe we're learning, because First Peter said that salvation is ready to be revealed in the last time. Revealed in the last time. Not someone at church said that's a salvation issue. Try to run away from these phrases, pre-trib and once saved, always saved. Like these kinds of things. None of that's in the Bible. None of that. Just take the word. Can you find the word pre-trib? Or whatever, all these. Is that in the Bible? No. Is salvation issue? Is that in the Bible? It's not. Talks about salvation, it talks about a lot of things, but it doesn't tell you yeah. I guess it's like I don't know, like a school playground thing. I guess I'm not trying to rip on anybody, I'm just saying. There's another one. Jesus Freak Computer Geek says Sola Scriptura. There's another one. There's a lot of these phrases or whatever that you just don't, even subjects. Are you pre-wrath or you know what I'm saying? All these I don't know, sorry. I'm gonna look for a video here. Let's see. Why would they lie? I don't know if I can play this one. So that holy city, New Jerusalem, that mountain, Mount Zion, carved without hands, that could very well be what we're learning about and what's being debated in this world. Because what happens in the end? The stars fall from the sky, darkness, fire, and some people are taken up in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air. Is it that, or is it that all the darkness is being cast down from heaven and falling, and heaven is actually coming down? Could be looked at relative to what, right? Relative to the earth, or relative, like that kind of idea? Well, if you were Jesus and you were up in the clouds, maybe it would appear to you that the earth would be coming coming up to you. But if you were on the ground, living on the earth, maybe it would appear that heaven was coming down or New Jerusalem was coming down. Don't believe that the earth is spinning, and don't think that you live somewhere else. There is no solar system. You've never seen it. It's a concept that someone came up with, drew a cartoon of it, and you taught it to you as a child. There's no solar system. We don't observe that. We don't observe the earth going around the sun. We observe the complete opposite. We observe the sun going over our heads each day in the sky. We all do observe. We make an observation, an actual observation of the earth being completely still and solid ground our entire lives. Every single person that's ever lived. That's what we observe and perceive and experience. Yet, it must be rotating, which we don't perceive or experience. Don't believe in these lies. They're being exposed by so many people these days, and that's Jesus uttering his voice from the clouds, revealing these things to us. Otherwise, we would not know them. We would not talk about them. We would not comprehend anything new. He's teaching us a new thing, a way that we didn't know before. Let me just show you that this was also prophesied. I think it's in Isaiah 42, maybe. Whoops. Look right here. Verse 16, verse 16 in Isaiah 42. And I will bring the blind by a way that they knew not. I will lead them in paths that they have not known. I will make darkness light before them and crooked things straight. These things will I do unto them and not forsake them. Who among you will give ear to this? Who's going to hear him uttering his voice? Who among you will give ear to this? Who will hearken and hear for the time to come? Who? Will you guys? Because I am. I'm giving ear to this, and I'm definitely understanding what time we're in. Let's see. Some encouraging words. Verse 2, when in Isaiah 43, when thou passest through the waters, I will be with thee, and through the rivers they shall not overflow thee. When thou walkest through the fire, thou shalt not be burned, neither shall the flame kindle upon thee. Bring forth the blind people that have eyes, and the deaf that have ears. Let all the nations be gathered together. Let the people be assembled. Who among them can declare this and show us former things? Are you guys witness to something that you didn't know before? Like in the last chapter, he said, I will bring the blind by a way that they knew not. I will lead them in paths that they have not known. Let them bring forth their witnesses that they may be justified. Or let them hear and say, it is truth. Well, I guess Isaiah knew about this debate. I bear witness to truth that I didn't, a way that I didn't know. Anybody talking about flat earth thinks that or understands that. They see something that they didn't grasp before. You know, oh yeah, one more verse, and then we're gonna maybe watch, or me talk. I just wanted to, there's a video I made about me talking about who's doing the lying. Where's this deception coming from? Is this coming from a group of elite men? No, it's not. It's far worse than that. Let's see. So, Jesus told us about this time when we'd be learning all these things. And here's how it happens. Verse 13, or verse 12, I have yet many things to say unto you, but ye cannot bear them now. Howbeit, when he, the Spirit of truth, is come, he will guide you into all truth. For he shall not speak of himself, but whatsoever he shall hear, that shall he speak. And he will show you things to come. He will show you things to come. He shall glorify me, for he shall receive of mine, and shall show it unto you. All things that the Father hath are mine, therefore said I, that he shall take of mine, and shall show it unto you. That's what's happened so far in my life lately. Let's just check this video out, and then I have to go after that. I've been real busy the last month or whatever. Very busy. And so that's why I'm doing this live stream this morning. And I'm glad you guys showed up, and thank you for hanging out. Here's the video. The question is, why would they lie? Well, would you lie? Why would you expect them to be able to lie? And not only that, but why would you expect them to be able to deceive the world, you included? If we think there are people lying about the shape of the world, what does that say about us? If we think there's a conspiracy where men have agreed to lie to the world, it seems to me that we would be liars ourselves, expecting others to be liars as well. But are they just better at it than we are? Lying to other people is not easy to do, and getting away with it without being caught is almost impossible. A common and almost exclusive belief of the flat earther is that they are lying about space and that it is all being faked. This is something I strongly disagree with. An example of this can show what it can do to a flat earther. The shuttle Challenger exploded 73 seconds after it launched back in the day, and these people commonly accuse the families of these astronauts of lying about their dead family members and holding the truth from the public. Have you ever had a friend or relative die? How would you feel if people you didn't know started accusing you of lying about your friend's death and laughing and making memes and jokes about their death? The first point I will make is that it is morally wrong to accuse people of lying simply because of a separate and unrelated conclusion that has been made. The Earth being flat does not mean that NASA and the space agencies are capable of pulling off a lie that deceives the whole world. And the flat earthers often talk about how they believe the Bible. But the Bible tells a conflicting story to what the flat earthers usually believe, at least when it comes to deceiving the world. In the Bible, it is not men who deceive the whole world. It is the devil and his angels who deceive the whole world. If men were lying to the world, then it would not be deceiving the whole world. The second point I want to make is that all of this will fall on deaf ears when it comes to other flat earthers. They pride themselves on researching and finding the truth, but I see them being, well, I will just say it, dishonest themselves. I don't say this to insult them, since I also believe the earth is flat, but to reprove them. And I say it in an effort to get them to believe the truth, which is written in the Bible. Men hide the truth in unrighteousness, but it is because they themselves believe a lie that the devil tells the whole world. No person is involved in perpetrating a lie that deceives every person. Get it? So what I'm trying to say is that there are no astronauts faking zero-G. There are no people at NASA lying their whole lives just to deceive you. First, it's not possible. And second, human beings don't live that way. Many people lie, but many more believe a lie. Think about what would be different if it weren't any person on this earth that had the power to deceive the whole world. What would it mean to us if we realized that men weren't capable of these things, and all men on earth were subject to the dark forces of the world above ours? What would change in our defense of against these lies if we were able to see that the lying party isn't even in this world and has the whole world believing that men are the cause while being invisible to anyone on the earth? I wish it were men that had these supernatural powers to deceive and that men were to blame, but I see a world of people who are all together in this world where every single one of them is believing a lie, even those who know a certain truth. It hurts my heart to see this happening. Satan is deceiving the men who are controlling the narrative, and the men controlling the narrative believe his lie. And therefore they teach it to their children, while the people there on earth that know the truth accuse their fellow man of perpetrating the lie from the start. All men and women are our brothers and sisters, and we are all being attacked by the world that's above our world. And that dark world above ours has deceived men into believing that their fellow man is set against himself, while they overlook that the dark world above and the evil there that draws to itself the hearts of men even exists. Daniel chapter 9. In the first year of Darius, the son of Ahasuerus, of the seed of the Medes, which was made king over the realm of the Chaldeans. In the first year of his reign, I, Daniel, understood by books the number of years whereof the word of the Lord came to Jeremiah the prophet, that he would accomplish 70 years in the desolations of Jerusalem. And I set my face unto the Lord God, to seek by prayer and supplications with fasting and sackcloth and ashes. And I prayed unto the Lord my God, and made my confession, and said, O Lord, the great and dreadful God, keeping the covenant and mercy to them that love him, and to them that keep his commandments. We have sinned, and have committed iniquity, and have done wickedly, and have rebelled, even by departing from thy precepts and from thy judgments. Neither have we hearkened unto thy servants the prophets, which spake in the name to our kings, our princes, and our fathers, and to all the people of the land. O Lord, righteousness belongeth unto thee, but unto us confusion of faces, as at this day, to the men of Judah, and to the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and unto all Israel that are near and that are far off, through all the countries whither thou hast driven them, because of their trespass that they have trespassed against thee. O Lord, to us belongeth confusion of face, to our kings, to our princes, and to our fathers, because we have sinned against thee. To the Lord our God belong mercies and forgiveness, though we have rebelled against him. Neither have we obeyed the voice of the Lord our God to walk in his laws, which he set before us by his servants the prophets. Yea, all Israel have transgressed thy law, even by departing, that they might not obey thy voice. Therefore the curse is poured upon us, and the oath that is written in the law of Moses the servant of God, because we have sinned against him. And he hath confirmed his words which he spake against us, and against our judges that judged us, by bringing upon us great evil. For under the whole heaven hath not been done as hath been done upon Jerusalem. As it is written in the law of Moses, all this evil is come upon us, yet made we not our prayer before the Lord our God, that we might turn from our iniquities and understand thy truth. Therefore hath the Lord watched upon the evil and brought it upon us. For the Lord our God is righteous in all his works which he doeth, for we obeyed not his voice. And now, O Lord our God, that hast brought thy people forth out of the land of Egypt with a mighty hand, and hast gotten thee renown, as at this day we have sinned, we have done wickedly. O Lord, according to all thy righteousness, I beseech thee, let thine anger and thy fury be turned away from thy city Jerusalem, thy holy mountain, because for our sins and for the iniquities of our fathers, Jerusalem and thy people are become a reproach to all that are about us. Now therefore, O our God, hear the prayer of thy servant and his supplications, and cause thy face to shine upon thy sanctuary that is desolate for the Lord's sake. O my God, incline thine ear and hear, open thine eyes and behold our desolations, and the city which is called by thy name. For we do not present our supplications before thee for our righteousness, but for thy great mercies. O Lord, hear. O Lord, forgive. O Lord, hearken, and do. Defer not for thine own sake, O my God, for thy city and thy people are called by thy name. So, a few comments in the chat that I'm going to comment on. One interesting one from Captain Caveman was, how old is the lie? And I'll give you my quick understanding of how old the lie is. I wouldn't know. There's something that Paul says to the Romans. There's a couple, and then there's some things that Enoch says. And there might be more, but you'll understand exactly why I would say what I say. And it is, since the fourth day, that's my answer. That's my answer for how old is the lie. Since the fourth day of creation. That's my answer. But here's why I say that. Here's one part. Paul's talking about preaching his gospel, and he says, according to my gospel, the preaching of Jesus Christ, according to the revelation of the mystery, which was kept secret since the world began. And there's a couple other places in his letters where he said about this secret since the world began. And the only way I know to understand that is by looking at Enoch chapter 18. There's something I've come to understand here that we can apply to reality because it actually is a reality. So let's just look at this quick. And then I'm going to explain, just so you guys know in the chat, science works in mysterious ways. We're going to talk about your question, and I'm going to try to make it as clear as I can that you're doing, let's see, how do I say this? I'll comment on it in just a minute. So stick around for that. Okay, so in the book of Enoch, concerning how old is the lie, there was this prison, okay? So Enoch, he goes to this waste and horrible place. And beyond that abyss, I'll start right here. Beyond that abyss, I saw a place which had no firmament of the heaven above, and no firmly founded earth beneath it. There was no water upon it, and no birds, but it was a waste and horrible place. I saw there 7 stars, like great burning mountains. And to me, when I inquired regarding them, the angel said, "This place is the end of heaven and earth. This has become a prison for the stars and the host of heaven. And the stars which roll over the fire are they which have transgressed the commandment of the Lord in the beginning of their rising, because they did not come forth at their appointed times. And he was wroth with them, and bound them till the time when their guilt should be consummated, even for 10,000 years. So, on the 4th day, let's go to the 4th day. I suppose I could just use one of these. We'll just go right here. The 4th day of creation is when God would have ordained these stars to start going on their courses. And I think it's verse 14. Let's see. And God said, "Let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years. And let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth." And it was so. And God made 2 great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also. And God set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth, and to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good. And the evening and the morning were the 4th day. So that it was at that time when this part that Enoch's talking about would have had to take place, because it says, when they transgressed the commandment of the Lord in the beginning of their rising, because they did not come forth at appointed times. So it was in the beginning of their rising. It doesn't say 10 years into their rising. It doesn't say a certain time. It just says in the beginning of their rising. So, and we can see in the next chapter, "And Uriel said to me, Here shall stand the angels who have connected themselves with women, and their spirits, assuming many different forms, are defiling mankind, and shall lead them astray into sacrificing to demons as gods. Here shall they stand till the day of the great judgment, in which they shall be judged till they are made an end of." So all those lights up in the sky that are not encircling the North Star, they are there's lots of them now, because men have put them up there. This brings us to our next comment in the chat. Let me see if I don't know how to get the chat up on the screen. Sorry, guys. Here's our next video. I'm just going to start. Okay. Are you a Luciferian? That's going to be our next video. But Science Works in Mysterious Ways says, I'm not sure I get what you're saying, because 0G doesn't exist, and the ISS folks are lying and acting. I get you mean the source, but these individual humans are lying. That's where we disagree entirely. Science Works in Mysterious Ways. Here's what you're doing, and I'm not trying to point a finger or something. I'm just using your outlook that you have as an example to explain a different way to understand it. And the Bible is clear about this. And I think, let's see. And then Science Works in Mysterious Ways said, and I get that there's tons who aren't lying and believe it. And what I'm saying is that there's zero that know about that there's a lie. So that makes the details of this lie very specific, kind of, doesn't it? Because you're saying that 0G doesn't exist. I disagree with that entirely. And you're saying that the ISS folks are lying and acting. And I disagree with that entirely. Now, if you were going to say they're all lying and acting, you've got some explaining to do. Science Works in Mysterious Ways. What are all these things that I film in the sky that we can track? I'm sure you're not really used to doing that, because if you paid any attention to what's happening in the sky, you would notice that there's satellites up there. There's Starlink satellites everywhere up there. The ISS is up there. But you probably wouldn't dig as deep as I have, because what? Because you see the truth, or what? Or something. It reminds me of what Jesus said, or I don't know who said it in Revelation, following the Lamb whithersoever he goes. So something told us that there's deception, that NASA is perpetrating deception. And so where does the finger get pointed immediately? At other people. Oh, there's some elite group that's hiding the truth. It's actually more realistic if you look at yourself and your own, how you would treat other people and how you care about people. That's how human beings are. There's evil human beings. There's wicked people. There's liars. But the whole idea of hiding the shape of the earth is something that if people are thinking that people are doing that, I don't know what you think of these people. They're pretty powerful, right? And people say, yeah, well, they worship the devil. Well, they're Luciferian. Well, don't just throw words out. Being a Luciferian means something. Means something. You have a father of lies. Well, what does Lucifer? Let's watch this video now. It'll be appropriate. But so Science Works in Mysterious Ways. I encourage you to try to get away from that stereotype flat earther mentality that ISS is fake. But to be honest, I'd rather have you believe that than believe that it's some amazing thing that men are accomplishing. So yeah, I agree with you on that part. But what I strongly disagree with is your accusation against other people, because you see a glitch on one ISS video or something that's not really a glitch. It's just, who knows? There's tons of different things, and I've pointed out, had them on my channel. I think there's weird stuff, but there's a lot more of just everyday stuff that they're doing, especially since in the last 5 or 6 years. NASA has been doing live streams all the time, and there's a lot more complexity to what they have been doing And you're not keeping up with that either, is what I'm saying, if you're thinking that they're lying. What they're doing is they have people up in a tin can up in the sky that's free falling into outer darkness perpetually. This is in the Bible. There's a place called the bottomless pit, and what I'm learning is you got to go sideways to get to hell. You have to go up towards heaven, and then you go sideways, and you'll get to hell. Let's watch this video.
I look in Isaiah 14 where it talks about Lucifer. It actually says in Isaiah 14 what Lucifer's big plans are. Lucifer's big plans are. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will ascend into heaven.
I will ascend into heaven.
I will exalt my throne above the stars of God, above the stars of God.
Above the stars of God.
Has left a mark in the heavens.
I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds.
I will ascend above the heights of the clouds.
I will be like the Most High, yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. Now here, I mean, this pretty much covers it. This basically gives us what Satan's plan is.
Okay, I was just checking out some of these comments. Science works in mysterious ways. Let's put it this way, because they wrote, if you can't act and lie and use CG, then not be lying. You're the one saying that they're using CGI. You're the one that's saying that they are lying. Let's put it this way. Did your first grade teacher or your kindergarten teacher that showed you the globe, or whoever did, were they lying to you? Were they involved? Were they lying to you? Do you know what I'm saying? Technically, yes. But in their hearts, were they telling a lie? No. They thought they lived on a globe. And they said, here's where we live. And it's as simple as that. They are not lying. They're being deceived by Satan. So their space station they don't need CGI to do that. They just have to fly sideways really fast. And they can do that. And while they're doing that, they can also be convinced that they're free-falling around a globe. And that's how they think physics works in outer space, when it's a place that has no physics. Look at the space station. Why do they think it's such an important laboratory? Because in a free-fall environment, space, anything in space is in free fall, orbiting around something. It's outer darkness. We've been lied to. So they do go there. And it's not a vacuum next to adjacent to a pressurized system. It's not. You know what it is? It's a word, I think, called tohu. It's void of matter. It's void of physics. It's an empty space. It's nothing. It's confusion. It's chaos. It's darkness. And Captain Caveman just said low Earth orbit. That's exactly what it is. So the important thing is, okay, here's another comment. F, buddy, I'm the one that told the debunkers and the flat earthers that most aren't lying, and then the ones lying are doing it to inspire and hope to truly go someday. Okay, but there aren't any lying. That's all I'm saying. The most high up people at NASA or whatever, they're not lying. They believe these things. They want to, they like, look at Elon Musk. He's another person with the same mentality. He wants to live it among the stars. He's doing what Lucifer wants. That's what's in this video. So actually pay attention to what this video is saying. It's, are you a Luciferian? What is a Luciferian? A Luciferian is someone who wants to ascend into heaven. That's what a Luciferian wants.
And then SpaceX is about helping make life multiplanetary and doing what we can to continue the dream of Apollo.
If I spin this can, we know that according to the equations of motion, that we would expect that if once this is given a spin. Roger, Houston, Apollo 11. Calling in from about 130,000 miles out. And we'll zoom our camera in slowly, get the most magnification we can. Over. Roger.
Okay, science works in mysterious ways. This part of the video right here is just try to understand what they say they are experiencing. It's rather than just defaulting all of this information and saying, they're all just lying and making it up. Pay attention to what all these people say they experience when they go up there. And like they put videos out like this. But just think about it. There's a different way to understand it, and that's not filled with assumptions that are wrong about CGI and whatever.
It's Big Mike Collins. And it is sort of down in a dark corner, so we have a flashlight here to help us see things. And if I can let go of it carefully, it'll just hold itself right where it is. Roger. As long as it's there, it will. Apollo 11, Houston, that's a pretty good demonstration. You started out really stable there, Mike. It's, well, the problem is no matter how carefully you let go, you bump it just a tiny little bit, set it in motion, and once in motion, there she goes.
I bet you've seen pictures of the astronauts up in the space station, and they're floating around as if there's no gravity at all. And this is actually a really interesting misconception about what's going on with the astronauts. So it's not that they're weightless because they're in space and far away from the Earth. They're actually close enough to the Earth to feel the gravitational pull of the Earth itself. So what's going on? Why are they floating around? Well, this is what an orbit really is. We have to get spacecraft going very, very fast to put them into orbit. That's why we put them on rockets. Rockets launch spacecraft and get them going very, very fast. And if you're in orbit where the space station is, you're traveling at about 17,000 miles an hour. Now, what happens to those astronauts is that they're going very, very fast, but they're actually freely falling towards the Earth. The Earth has gravity, and that gravity is pulling them down, just the same as what would happen as if you dropped a ball. If you dropped a ball, it would fall to the floor. The same thing is happening to the astronauts. They are falling towards the surface of the Earth. They keep missing the Earth as they fall. And that's the definition of an orbit. That's what an orbit is. And that's why you need a rocket to get into orbit. You need to get yourself going so fast that as you fall back towards Earth, you keep missing it.
Did you notice she said you need a rocket to get into orbit? That's why I'm saying these prophecies from all these thousands of years ago are being fulfilled today. These things have manifested, the things that the prophets saw have manifested into reality, and now we're seeing them in our world. And it's not an interpretation, it's just an observation. An example, Zechariah saw a flying roll, and the angel that showed it to him told him that that was the curse that goes forth over the face of the whole earth. Daniel saw something that looked like a he-goat with a notable horn between his eyes, waxing great, even to the host of heaven. It was moving over the face of the ground without, or over the face of the earth without touching the ground. It was flying, and it flew up to the host of heaven and cast some of the stars to the ground and stamped upon them. It magnified itself to the prince of the host. And there was a dominion that Daniel saw that this beast had taken by transgression. And that very dominion is the one that the Son of Man will rule forever at a certain point. It's talking about the heavens. Men are not going into heaven. They're going into hell. They're sinking into the pit. And NASA thinks that this is space exploration. So, let me point something out, Jesus Freak Computer Geek. Sometimes, with science works in mysterious ways, you just have to disagree, and just say we disagree. And here's one important reason. Let me talk about two verses, one in Daniel 7, verse 21, and then one in Revelation, chapter 13, verse 7. Daniel and John both saw, in those end times, saw the saints, the dragon was prevailing against those saints until the Ancient of Days came, that little horn. He deceived them until the Lord came. And let's just think about this once. There's a dragon up in the sky right now, And there's a big difference between Jesus Freak Computer Geek and Science Works in Mysterious Ways. And I'm not picking on anybody to do this. I'm using this for an example. I love all you guys. Jesus Freak Computer Geek is not deceived by Satan right now. But Science Works in Mysterious Ways totally thinks Satan is being faked by men. There's a dragon up in the sky deceiving the flat earthers who think it's fake, and also deceiving the rest of the people in the world that think it's a great thing that SpaceX is doing to bring us to Mars and to the future. Do you get what I'm saying? Daniel and John saw this. They saw everyone being deceived one way or the other by this dragon. And I know if I ask Science Works in Mysterious Ways, do you believe that there's a dragon flying in the sky right now, attached to giving its power to the space station? See, this story's in the Bible. You don't believe that, and that's good. But the details can be important, because you're believing another lie. You don't even think Satan is deceiving the world. You don't even think that there's a war happening in heaven, when there clearly is. You can see it with your eyes if you catch a rocket launch, or if you just go outside at night and let your eyes adjust, and you'll see that men have defiled God's sanctuary. It's as simple as that. And they call it science.
So the astronauts are not weightless because there's no gravity in space. The astronauts are falling, the same way a skydiver is falling freely through space. It's just that they're going so fast, they keep missing the Earth. They are all the time falling towards the Earth, going fast enough that they keep missing it. Everything that's in orbit around anything else is doing the same thing.
See things, and if I can let go of it carefully, it'll just hold itself right where it is.
This is hopefully the first step on a journey towards a civilization on Mars, life becoming multiplanetary.
And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws. And they shall be given into his hand until a time and times and the dividing of time.
And God said, Let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years.
And think to change times and laws.
Life can become multiplanetary. This is the goal we should strive for.
And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name, and his tabernacle, and them that dwell in heaven, tabernacle in heaven.
I believe that it's important for the future to be a spacefaring civilization, and out there, ultimately be out there among the stars,
Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and though thou set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith the Lord.
Be out there among the stars,
be
out there among the stars,
and though thou set thy nest among the stars.
If the future does not include being out there among the stars, based on the moon and expanding beyond Earth, and
among the stars,
be out there among the stars, life becoming multiplanetary.
All right, guys, I better get going. Yeah, sometimes it's, Jesus Freak Computer Geek, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I don't know if Science Works in Mysterious Ways is aware that Jesus Freak worked at NASA for a long time. He was part of NASA. And I think he probably understands very well the dedication that people put into their jobs and the details that of the missions and the things that NASA does. That's why they have that budget. That's why they spend all that money. Because it takes all the resources of all the big countries in the world together to figure out how to do this and escape the earth. God set it far from them. It's Ezekiel 7 talks about men defiling his secret place, his tabernacle. And putting their abominations and detestable things in Jerusalem, in New Jerusalem. These are real things happening, and I think it's important that we just keep spreading the truth around. Because I know that just because of all the things that are happening, I mean, even what Ezra said. Let me see if I still have it up. Look, the time is coming when the signs appear that I told you about in advance. Well, think of the Revelation 12 sign. Think of Revelation 13, that beast making fire come down from the sky. SpaceX landing their rocket using fire coming down from the sky. A dragon flying in the firmament. John saw this stuff. I mean, even the pandemic. A crown. Corona. Revelation 6 verse 2 says something. It's too much of, like, these things are happening. It's crazy. Anyway, yeah. So that vision Ezra had, just a powerful one to me. That whole book, 2nd Esdras, is just awesome. One interesting thing, actually, me and Jesus Freak Computer Geek were talking on the phone yesterday about the two witnesses a little bit. And right here is a verse that is interesting. It's in 2nd Esdras, chapter 1, I guess. It's at the end of chapter 1. It says, "Now, Father, look with pride and see the people coming from the east. I will give them authority together with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Elijah and Enoch, Zechariah and Hosea, Amos, Joel, Micah, Obadiah, Zephaniah, Nahum, Jonah, Malachi, Habakkuk, and 12 angels carrying flowers." But, yeah, let's see here. Right before that, it says, "Those who didn't know me will believe me, and those to whom I showed no signs will do what I commanded. They didn't see prophets, but are mindful of the prophets' antiquity." The apostles will joyfully testify to the coming people. Those who didn't see me with their physical eyes believe me, or believe in their spirit. They have heard the things I said and believe me. Good stuff. Good stuff. Alright guys, I'm going to get rolling out of here. I actually see if I can remind everybody of something on my way out. Well, I could have been a little bit more on time with all of this outro stuff. Remember, oh, where'd it go? I'm not very smooth when it comes to the, I'm really bad. Something's not big enough on my screen. Hold on, give me a minute here. I'm not prepared. I think it's right here, though. Oh, there it is. I found it. Okay, here's my quick reminder to everyone. You guys have a great day.